Shalom friends, welcome to a small sanctuary. I am Esther, I am a rabbi, a wife, a mother, and this is my little corner of the internet where I showcase living a Jewish life with beauty, wisdom and purpose. The following video I'm about to take you through is how I have been preparing with my family for the high holiday season, both within our own home as well as for my role as a spiritual leader in the congregation. So prepare to see loads of cooking, baking honey cake, making apple jelly, preparing my briskets, baking challah, but also polishing silver, readying the home, and orienting my heart towards writing my sermons and preparing myself for the role in the synagogue as well. I hope you'll enjoy this journey through an important part of my life. And if you want to see more content like this, feel free to give this video a thumbs up, like and subscribe, and sit back and enjoy. Wishing you and your family, from my bite to yours, L'Shana Tova Umetuka, a very happy and sweet New Year. Welcome to preparing my home, my family and myself for the high holidays. First things first, I pop on this beautiful wreath. I made it last year. It still looks great, and that was real easy, and it just sets the mood for fall. We also went apple picking, and out of those apples I made my trusty Tori Avey Apple-Honeycake recipe, which I really love. It is a twist on the classic honey cake with so much more depth of flavor and moisture and fruitiness to it. I highly recommend this recipe. It is a little bit of elbow grease, however, because you have to peel and grate the apples and then mix them into your batter. I also picked up some nice honey for dipping apples in, a little jar of extra special honey, and this apple cake makes several batches, which I then freeze for throughout not just Rosh Hashanah, but also Sukkot and beyond, so that we can enjoy apple cake for the entire season. Here you see the apples being grated with my beloved extension piece for the KitchenAid, which works great for latkes too, for Hanukkah. And here I am combining some honey. Plenty of honey goes into this cake to make it extra sweet for a very sweet new year. After all the ingredients are combined, you combine your dry ingredients as well, including your spices, your nutmeg, your cinnamon, and off she is, ready to bake in the oven in these bundt pans. And here you see the result. 5 beautiful honey cakes, some to give away and some for my family to enjoy, and they freeze just fine. Now over to baking challah. I always make a round challah for the high holidays and normal challah for Shabbat, and sometimes I will parallel bake to make sure that I am building up a steady supply the few Shabbatot leading up to the high holidays, so that I'm not overwhelmed baking all of it at once. I am apportioning my dough into different portions, and then those get divided into 4 portions. I give them a good knead, and then I start to braid. This is a very simple braid. All you do is basically a basket weave, and you weave the different ends together, and it gives a very pretty result. You have to remember to go the opposite direction each time, and then all you need to do is keep on tucking them under, and once you have no more give, all you do is tuck them underneath and plump up, fluff up your challah, and she is ready to go into the oven. It is a real beginner-friendly recipe that I highly recommend. As you can see, I'm fluffing up my challah and she will come out nice and tall. There are, of course, different techniques for braiding round challah, depending on whether you use 4 strands or a different number of strands, but some of them are just great, so feel free to experiment. Here I am, I put egg wash on the chalot and I put my everything bagel seasoning on for savory touch among the sweetness of Rosh Hashanah when we want something savory instead. Here you will see my normal Shabbat chalot, my long ones, just as they come out of the oven. Yum, 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 with and without seeds. And here they are, just before we are about to make Shabbat, ready on the table, looking cozy, crisp and warm, fresh out of the oven. So I highly recommend that you just experiment with different styles of challah braiding. Now it's over to apples, apples and apples. These are bags of crab apples. We are going to be making crab apple jelly and crab apple sauce. These crab apples we picked last year from our neighbor's tree, and I had them in the freezer, which means that the pectin was a little compromised, but they still came out beautiful in this delicious jelly, which I use as a dip for Rosh Hashanah and also as a filling for my sufganiyot for Hanukkah, and they make for a very fruity, sophisticated flavor for Hanukkah as well. Back to Costco, picking up more groceries, and now it is serious brisket time. So here we are, getting ready to batch bake, batch cook our brisket so that I can pop it in the freezer and reheat it, and that gives me minimum stress. Your classic ingredients, some good old rub, tomato sauce, wine, root vegetables, onion, brisket, green herbs like sage and rosemary, and we are ready to go to cook up some of that brisket. I rub and flavor my brisket before I heat my cast iron pans, and I'm ready to pop in those delicious vegetables alongside with the meat. Just give them a rough chop. They don't need to be cut finely at all. And you just sear your meat, throw those in the pan, and it leads to a delicious result. So here my meat has been flavored with the rub, and it is sitting in the pan after I sauteed the onions. And here we are, ready to go. I add the wet ingredients. First I fry up a little mushrooms, pour a little red wine for some extra depth and complexity of flavor, and then I combine all of that with the canned tomatoes, the fresh tomatoes, the other vegetables into this delicious one pot meal. Time and patience will do the rest, and let it cool down. Freeze it in plastic containers and reheat it when you want to serve it. Away from the food prep into readying my home, I have a lot of silver to polish. Ideally, I do this 3 times a year, before Pesach, before Rosh Hashanah, and before Hanukkah, but realistically, it tends to fall by the wayside during Hanukkah, and that's okay. It's only a minor holiday, but I do like polishing it just before Pesach and Rosh Hashanah, which I want to give that festive, regal bearing. So here I am polishing my family silver, my Kiddush cup, my Shabbat candlesticks, the children's Shabbat Kiddush cups as well, and other accoutrements with which we decorate and set our table for this special time of year. It is a very satisfying job. It takes a while, but I just pop on some music or a podcast and I polish and I feel accomplished. Here it is in my cabinet, looking lustrous, beautiful and sparkling, and it just adds that sense of gravitas and joy to this time of year. So all in all, that is done and I am happy with that. Off to preparing myself for the high holidays. This is my robe that I got this year, and I can wear this kittel over it. And they're hanging side by side. They have been washed. The kittel just needs a little bit of an iron, but basically these are also ready to go. The last set of preparations have to do with my work. I am taking time to write my sermons, to study Torah with a cup of tea, because is there any other way? And just to reflect on what I want my messaging to be this high holiday cycle. I start planning this out about 6 weeks to 2 months in advance and let these ideas percolate in my head and then sit myself down to research and eventually write my sermons. Here I am, making my house, my study, a little bit cozy, ready for fall with some fairy lights, and of course, last but not least, touch up the mantelpiece, switch it out for fall, and make sure that my home is its own small sanctuary. The Chag Sameach banner is up. Everything is under control and ready, and all I need to do is light my candles and ease into this season of return, repentance, prayer, and righteous action. Wishing you Shana Tova Umetuka, a sweet and happy new year.